Today in Capechi's Corner, we're going to look at areas of parallelograms, triangles, and rhombuses. In looking at the area of parallelograms, the formula is A is equal to B times H, which is base times height. So in number 1, we realize that our base is 2 plus 10, which gives us 12. So I just need to find the height. Well, let's make that x because that's unknown right now. My triangle on the left, I have a 30, 60, 90. So I have a 60-degree angle there, and I have a 30 right here. So if my short side is 2, my short leg, then my long leg is going to be 2 root 3. So that's going to be the value for x. So my area is going to be the base, which is 12, times the height, which is 2 root 3. So our total area is 24 root 3. And because we don't have any units, we're just going to say units squared because we know area is always squared. In our second example, we have a parallelogram that has a length of 9 and a width of 6. So I drew my height down, my altitude there. That's going to be, again, another 90 degrees. And I have a 45, 45, 90. I know that my hypotenuse is 6. So again, I need to find what my height is, my altitude. So I know that my hypotenuse is equal to root 2 times x. My hypotenuse is 6. So when I try to get x by itself, divide both sides by root 2. And I have 6 root 2, 6 over root 2. Top and bottom by root 2 gives me 6 root 2 over 2, which is 3 root 2. So that's my height. That's the value for x. So now when I find my area is equal to my base, which is 9, times my height, which is 3 root 2. So I have 27 root 2, and again, that is going to be units squared. The area of a triangle, which is one that you probably did since middle school, maybe even late elementary school, is area is equal to 1/2 times base times height. Sometimes we see it written as base times height over 2, which is really all the same thing. So in number 1, we have a very basic example. So I'm going to take 1/2. My base is 40, and my height is 12. So that one's a nice and easy one because I have everything given to me. So my area of that triangle is 240 meters squared. In number 2, I need to find my base there. Now again, I have a right triangle, and I know I can use Pythagorean theorem, but I also know this is a triple. So x has the value of 5 because the triple is 5, 12, 13. So again, my area is going to be 1/2 times my base, which is 5, times my height, which is 12. So I really didn't need that 13 in my formula, but I needed it to find my base. So area here is 30 centimeters squared. Our last formula for today is an area of a rhombus. So the area of the rhombus is equal to 1/2 times diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. So in number 1, I'm given that AC, which is one diagonal here, which is 10, and I have my other diagonal, BD, has a value of 12. So I know I can go right to my formula. I have A is equal to 1/2 times 10 times 12. So my area here is equal to 60 units squared. In number 2, I have that AE is 4 meters. So I know that EC is also 4 meters because in a parallelogram, the diagonals bisect each other, and a rhombus is a parallelogram. Same thing with my other diagonal. So I know that my area is going to equal to 1/2. One of my diagonals is 10, and the other is 8. It doesn't matter which order I put them in. So my area for this rhombus is 40 meters squared. Now we're going to look at a few other examples, and the directions say find the area of the given figure. So I have a triangle first, and it says an isosceles triangle with sides 10, 10, and 16. So I'm going to mark that. I have 10 here, and my whole base there is 16. Now I know an isosceles triangle that if I bring the altitude down, it divides the opposite side into congruent pieces. So I'm going to make this 8 and this 8. Now I actually have a triple. I have a 3, 4, 5 multiplied by 2. So I really have a 6, 8, 10 here. So I have enough information now to find the area. Area is, remember, 1/2 times base times height in a triangle. So area is equal to 1/2. My base, my total base is 16, and my height is 6. So my total area of this triangle is 48 units squared. Now our next example says a rectangle with length of 16, is inscribed in a circle with a radius of 10. Now, a rectangle is a parallelogram, so I'm going to use the formula base times height. I already have the base. I have a length of 16. So I need to find what my height is in order for this to work. So the other piece of information I know is that I have a radius of 10. And my diagonal actually goes from one end of the circle to the other, so it's a diameter. So if my radius is 10, I know my diameter there is 20. There's my right angle because I know it's a rectangle. I can use Pythagorean theorem, or again, this is a multiple of a triple, so that side right there is 12. So my area is equal to my base is 16, and my height is 12. So my total area is 192 units squared. In our last example for today, we're going to look at a rhombus. So remember, the area is equal to 1/2 times diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. So if I look at what I'm given, it says a rhombus with a 120-degree angle and sides with 6 centimeters. Now the rhombus has 4 congruent sides, so I have the outside there marked as 6. And remember, the diagonals of a rhombus do two things. It bisects the angle, so this 120 degrees is going to become 60 and 60. And also, it forms a 90-degree angle in the center where the diagonals meet. So when I'm looking at my triangle, I have a 30, 60, 90. So if I know that my hypotenuse is 6, I know that my side opposite my short leg is 3. So that's going to give me a 3 there. And then because my short leg is 3, I know my long leg there is going to be 3√3. So I actually have enough now. I can find out what my diagonals are. So if this piece is 3, I know this piece is 3. Again, because the diagonals bisect each other, because a rhombus is a parallelogram, and the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. And so I also know that I have a 3√3 on this side. So I have all the information I need for the diagonals. So the area is equal to 1/2. One of my diagonals is 6, and the other one is 6√3, right? I add 3√3 plus 3√3, I get 6√3. So when I multiply those together, I have 18√3 centimeters squared.